So, Jamie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to have a proper interview now?
A proper interview now.
Okay, relaxed.
Yes.
Okay, right. So, Jamie, tell me about Volerian. What is Volerian?
So, Volerian originally started as an aircraft company, and this was about in 2009, actually. And the idea back then was to create a much more conventional system that used a fan and a turbine and so on and so forth. And it was actually realizing how much noise such a system made that made me think that it probably was never ever going to be applicable to wider use. It's just simply too noisy and too dangerous. Any kind of exposed fan is too dangerous to use in very close proximity to people.
So what was the impetus for creating this type of propulsion?
Well, actually, originally I wanted to create a quiet propeller because I could see the way that multicopters, which were used for simply videoing and such like, they were being scaled up, and it became apparent that they were going to be scaled up to the point of being able to carry a person. But at that level, where you're using sort of 1,000 times more energy, the amount of noise and the danger that it poses to people really becomes quite considerable.
Yeah, I can see that.
So some kind of other alternatives seem to be required. So I went back to first principles and started to really consider, how do we actually make air move? And of course, this took me in a number of directions, but ultimately, flapping systems are incredibly efficient. And this is sort of obvious when you think how many times they've been used in nature. And they've
because the name Volerian, that was tell us the inspiration behind it.
Yes, the name Volerian comes from, the Italian, volare, to fly, and avian, which I suppose is a flying thing, which combined, I suppose, means a flying thing. Yes, exactly. But it feels like an appropriate name for an aircraft company, and it did enable me to use a rather lovely V shape for our logo.
It's very lovely.
Yeah.
So tell me about this. What makes this different from anything else out there in the market? And frankly, who would be interested in a product like this?
Well, it is more expensive than a normal fan. So, of course, people will be interested to know what the advantages are. But one of them is the aesthetics. It doesn't require any kind of a grill or a protection from the fan. You wouldn't think that when you see it moving, but it actually can't harm you. It's completely safe. One of the other advantages is that it's extremely efficient. So you're actually getting more airflow for a given amount of power. That means that it's better for the planet, essentially, amongst other things. It also means that you're getting more air flowing through your room for a given amount of space as well. You don't need 2 or 3 fans to produce a given volume of airflow.
Right, okay. So in layman's terms...
we're nearly there with all of it. We're producing a fantastic amount of thrust. It's pretty quiet, and it's very, very efficient. And I hope you'd agree, it looks good. It looks really good. It looks very stylish.
I saw you putting your hand through it earlier, and nothing was broken, no blood.
Yeah.
So that's always good. So tell me, what's next? You've created Volerian, the fan. So I know you've got more to come. So tell us about the vision.
Well, ultimately, this is derived from an aeronautical propulsion system. It was never actually intended to be a room fan, although it does make, I'd like to think, a rather good room fan. The idea is that we can ultimately replace ground cars with flying cars. And that does seem like a huge statement to make. But the physics does potentially work out. It's tough. But if we can reduce the noise, if we can make sure that the moving parts are either not too dangerous or impossible to reach, and if we can keep the efficiency high and the footprint, that is the overall area of the aircraft, small, we really can create a world in which technology using this system is actually available for everybody on a day-to-day basis.
So this system has multiple applications. Is that what you're saying? Have you even thought, of all the areas?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the sort of technical problems that we have with this is that we're trying to create a very high airflow with that is very, very quiet. You know, we can actually make it extremely quiet, but we want to have everything. Basically, we're trying to create the best fan ever created, literally.
Ever.
Yeah, we are, and that's tough. So we inevitably have to compromise on things a little bit, but this can scale into aircraft that are really very large. So you take this pretty much this exact system and scale it up 4 or 5 times, and you end up with an aircraft that is capable of taking off vertically and also flying very efficiently as well. The efficiency of this system, especially when it's built into a wing, is really very high indeed, higher than a conventional propeller.
It's pretty exciting stuff. So, I mean, just, a few more questions. What have you put into this? I mean, has it been the amount of time you put in, or what's it taken to get to this point?
Well, my sanity, probably.
That.
Yeah, it's taken a long time, because as with anything new, you don't have a template on which to base it. You don't really know what's the right size, what's the right flapping frequency. I've looked at different types of birds, dragonflies, all sorts of things, but at this scale, there's nothing really as a flapping wing that creates this amount of thrust. So it's really uncharted territory. Right. Fortunately, and it's only fair to point this out, there's been some fantastic work published in scientific journals and such like that is easily accessible online, and that has been immensely helpful.
Right. Yeah.
But a lot of the technical results of that work tend to be sort of micro drones and quite small systems.
You haven't sort of. This is basically your creation. You've come up with this. You've thought this out.
There are other ideas that, of course, use flapping wing systems, but there's nothing that is that I'm aware of that is as efficient as this that uses a flapping system in air.
So, Jamie, what are you hoping from this? You're hoping this be in every house? What do you see?
Indeed. So my ultimate hope for this is certainly, I think it's a fantastic product for the home, and a very green product as well. So it's very energy efficient and very enjoyable as well. It produces a really nice, comfortable flow. But it will, I hope, lead on to other things. We want to create a new type of seaplane that uses something called winging ground effect, which when a plane flies very low across the sea, you can have certain advantages that make it more efficient. And that will probably be the first aircraft that we're going to produce.
Okay.
And that will be largely for ferrying services, because it means that we can use batteries, so relatively short distances, but we can achieve much faster speeds than ferries and even hydrofoils.
And that will also be energy efficient, will it?
Very energy efficient indeed. Yeah.
And it will be called Volerian.
Also Volerian, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I think that I have to have a test vehicle when you make one. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.